Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? Please say hi in the comment section. Don't feel shy. I'm super happy to be here today, Friday. Oh my goodness. Hi, everyone. My name is Flora Daisy. I am a digital accessibility expert and founder at Linoratech. Linoratech is simply an incredible company with the value and mission to help and support leaders and professionals in creating easily digital product like website application or document like PDF and make them inclusive and accessible to everyone. Like I really mean it. We talk about people or consumers or users or employees with or without disabilities. But enough about that. So one thing that I usually love to do on my platform is to describe myself. And I do that more often because in the audience we have sometimes people with visual impairments or people who are blind. And I want to make sure that my show is inclusive to everyone. All right, I see someone saying hi on the comment section. Let me see that. Oh, I see Dr. Rocky is here. Hi, Dr. Rocky from Ottawa. Oh my goodness. Raf is here. Hi, Raf. I'm so happy to see you. Oh gosh, Raf is just an incredible person. Him and I are supporting an incredible company. I mean, I will tell you all about that company later on. But Raf, so happy you're here. Again, if you have any question at any point in time, just share it in the comment section. I can promise you I see everything live. And if you like what you're hearing, come on, please give me a thumbs up. I love anything. I will take any reaction. And feel free also to reshare or repost this content in your network. This will really, really help me. But you know what? Let me self-describe now. I am a Black woman. I'm always smiling. Some people will say, Flora, you always laugh. I'm currently rocking kind of a black and red wine hair. I'm wearing a suit that is kind of dark and purple, or I would say also like a red wine, and kind of a white blouse. That's about it. Tomorrow I may have a different kind of, hairstyle or maybe outfit. Anyway, that's always fun to describe, and so to just create a more inclusive experience for everyone. But let's talk really about today topic, which is all about the business case for accessible web platform. Let me tell you a story, and please don't feel annoyed. You know me, I'm very transparent. I have been working in accessibility for quite a long time and I jumped into entrepreneurship. The first thing I did when I created my company is that I knew I had to have a website that is accessible, a website that is inclusive, a website that can welcome everyone, regardless of a person abilities or disabilities, and that was really, really important for me. Reality, I was shocked. Oh gosh, I was so shocked to see that there are no platform. I mean, you guys can probably share a few tips with me if you have found any platform that is inclusive and accessible. None. No platform is providing accessibility or inclusion at 100%. There is none. I was so shocked because, again, I want to help, I want to support, and so I didn't want to create a website from scratch, which is an option as well. So I needed to find something quick on to create something, a website, not only a website, but also allowing that website to become like a funnel where I can do my marketing, I can retarget, I can create email follow up. I mean, there is a lot of things that can happen in the solution that I wanted. But it was not accessible. I did check WordPress at the time. We're talking about 6 years or 5 years ago. Checked WordPress. No, it wasn't accessible. I've checked a few other things. I don't want to name them all, but you probably know what I'm talking about. Have you ever used a tool or a platform to create anything online? Please let me know. Or maybe you've heard about your company or your team using different kind of tools. I mean, even we have Google, we have, Power BI sometimes, which is a great tool to render data, right? Not accessible. Google Form, not fully accessible. I mean, I can name a lot of things here, and it's quite it's a hurt. Because whenever you want to create experiences that are inclusive and accessible to everyone, you want to make sure that the platform you use, in addition to the content you create, all of that is accessible. When you have to comply with accessibility, they are not telling you that, or just make sure that the part you are responsible is accessible, and any other part, maybe the platform, it's fine. We are not going to hold you responsible for that. No, it doesn't happen that way. The whole website, the whole page has to be accessible, and that's how you make accessibility compliance. I see a question out there. Ralph is asking a question. He said, are the tools available to make website accessible? And that's the big question. That's the big question, Raf. They're not. They're not. Just to tell you again my story, when I made a decision to create my website, I went and checked a lot of website platform providers. I checked a lot. I played with a lot of them. And no, it wasn't. There were no solution that was accessible. So I had to choose the quote to quote less evil solution or platform. And I chose one, and I said, you know what, let's work with that, but let me reach out to the provider and collaborate with them, help them identify what is not working so that they can fix the problem, and it can be a win-win for me as a creator, as an entrepreneur, and for them as a platform providers. Mind you that I am not the only client they have. They have clients globally. And I'm talking about an international company that provides support, as a website provider, as a funnel provider, as so many things, to many, many organizations, agencies, and more. And if it wasn't accessible for me, guess what? It wasn't accessible for any of their clients out there that are still using that platform to create more content. And then we are all surprised. Why are we all failing? Why are website failing for inclusion? It's because platforms are not made accessible. So I reached out to them. And guess what? Did they say, yes, we are happy to let you support us, and let's find a way? No, I received an email from their legal department telling me that they don't have to commit to accessibility and inclusion. They don't have to. I can either take the platform as it is or just leave it. They don't have to. Isn't that shocking to hear something like that? Let me know in the comment. I was shocked. Like, I was willing to help them, improve their products to meet accessibility compliance. I was willing to give them the, pointers, because it's a win-win. If they're making this product accessible, it will go so far because they have incredible clients. But it will also help me share content that are inclusive and accessible for all. They said no. Yeah, that's how I feel about them. I'm putting a thumbs down. And let me know what you think. I see Ralph said something. What are the criteria that you look for in accessibility in a website? Oh gosh, Raf, good question. Oftentimes, for accessibility, the standards that most people are following is what is called the Web Content Accessibility Guideline, in short, WCAG. And this WCAG comes with a lot of guidelines that people can follow to make sure that their platform are accessible and compliant. Make sure that the website is accessible and compliant, and that helps a lot. Of course, with the WCAG, sometimes if you have no expertise around accessibility, you might look at those guidelines and not understand a thing. But there are few guidelines, for example, around the color, right? The selection of color, contrast, which is going to help people with low vision or people who are probably looking at the content in a different setting, maybe under the sun or maybe under the projector or things like that. It just creates a base so that it doesn't matter where you are or who you are, you can still see the content properly. Another thing that happened is image with alternative text. I mean, I can go on, Ralph, about that. But it's so easy, but we need platform providers to start understanding what needs to be done, or else it is really, really creating more failures for many people. Now, let's talk directly about the three impacts that happen when platforms are not made inclusive and accessible. I mean, I can go on and on with more in my list, but I think that three is enough for this short episode that we have today. The first impact, really, it's about the fact that when a platform is inclusive and compliant, it is actually helping more people to create end products like website or maybe application or whatever they want to do. Maybe it's they're creating perhaps a podcast, maybe they're creating a blog. Some people don't have knowledge around coding. Some people don't have knowledge around designing. Some people don't have knowledge around developing, creating, and building, but they're very much expert in the role that they have chosen in their career, and they just need to use the platform to be able to share that value, what they have in mind as a skill, what they are providing as a service, what they are providing as an information to clients they need to reach out, to users that they need to reach out, or to students. They don't need to learn how to code and create a platform. So whenever the platform itself is made inclusive and accessible, it makes it easy to create content and product like website that are more inclusive and accessible to all. And that's really, really important, because we want to make sure that whenever we create a digital product out there, maybe you are creating your blog, we want to make sure that your blog is inclusive and accessible. But if your platform is not inclusive and accessible, trust me, you will have a hard time meeting accessibility compliance. And if your blog or contents are popular, you might run the risk to get a lawsuit, to get fined, or perhaps you will, lose a great reputation, because again, everyone is talking about inclusion, diversity, equity, and so much more. You want to make sure that your product are really open and welcoming to everyone. The second things that can happen when a platform is very inclusive and accessible is the fact that you are also helping creators with disabilities. You will be shocked maybe by what I'm about to share, but bear with me. Do you know that there are people who are blind who create websites? Did you? If you did, can you put yes in the comment section? If you did not, just say no, and it's totally fine. Really, this is a platform where we just want to share, we just want to collaborate, and I hope that the information I'm sharing with you is valuable. Yes, there are incredible, amazing people who have vision impairments or who are blind, who create websites. I mean, last time I have an incredible guest speaker who lost his site while he was a software engineer. And he still is a software engineer after 7 years of losing his sight completely. Which means that when the platform is inclusive and accessible, it doesn't just allow us to create a end product that is inclusive and accessible, it also allows other people who have a disabilities to also use the platform. Like, I mean, it's just mind blowing. I met another guy also who told me, Flora, I've been creating website for clients and they never knew that I was blind. And I said, wait a minute, how come? And he said, I usually have my calls on the phone, so they can guess that I'm blind. So most of the information they tell me about the different things they want, I use just a template from the platform and I enter the data that I need to enter. When it comes to images, when the image have a proper description, I know exactly what image they want in what section of the website. And it's just easy for me to do that. I go back and forth with them to just make sure that we got it right, we nailed it, and they're oftentimes happy. And I was like, what? I see another comment here. I see Ralph said, let me see first. Ralph just said, what accessibility function will your dream accessible website will have? Oh my goodness. Ralph, don't get me started. I can say a lot. Definitely, I want a website, first of all, with the platform that is inclusive and accessible from the get-go. I'm going to tell you one thing. I am creating a course, and I will be inviting soon many people to join the course to see how to make, content inclusive and accessible, but also other content that I have in mind. I'm not going to spill all the beans here, but when I created the course with the new platform I've realized that the content I am able to create with the platform is also providing me, for example, with IDs. So I can modify those elements to be whatever I want, which I love and appreciate. This platform, unfortunately, has on their framework few accessibility failures. I've cleaned as much as I could whenever they provided an ID, but some of the core elements of the theme, of the framework, I think I cannot really change. They're using classes and they're using a different approach in the code that are encapsulated. And so far that I know, I was able to clean up a lot, but I have about 18 failures. And I asked my husband, oh gosh, am I gonna tell you that too? Okay, I started, I may as well finish it. I asked my husband, who is an incredible developer, he worked for a security company. I'm not gonna say any name, but I asked my husband to come and help me because I tried my best to fix some of those things in there that are encapsulated in the framework of this platform. And my husband came and he said, no, Flora, you can't do it. And I said, can I maybe grab a class and modify something in there? And he said, no, you cannot. If you modified a class, if the platform decide to rename the class, whatever you just modified, poof, it's gone. you, you can't just modify a class. Class are variables that can change easily, you know? He said you need an ID, and with even that, you need to make sure that that ID is something that's not going to change. And I was like, this is so hard. How hard is it to make simple content inclusive and accessible to people? It's not easy oftentimes. And so, Ralph, definitely there is a few things that I can talk about to share. with you. We can discuss later on, but I love your question. There are a few things to take in consideration. Definitely, the platform has to be accessible or allow for some flexibility. Provide maybe the ID for the person to be able to change, or provide other, element that they can play with, making things inclusive and accessible. Some platform may required also, right, making mandatory to, whenever you add an image, make sure you add a description. Why? Because it's important for people who have a disability. Some images can be made decorative, which means that they don't add much value, which is fine. But you know what? This session is not about teaching the different things that can make a platform accessible, but rather bring the awareness. I can definitely answer any question around what can we do to make accessible platforms, a platform accessible. And Ralph, really appreciate that question, because I think that this is why it's important to have a more inclusive and accessible platform from the get-go. In the past, most organization was they were just asking vendors and providers of platform and solution if they were accessible, and the vendor would say, yes, of course we are, we just need a deal. And the business, the client, will take it for granted. Nowadays, I've noticed that most of the procurement department in organization are now asking more questions. Okay, if you say your platform is accessible, can you share some of the report you have? Do you have someone that is leading inclusion and accessibility within your team? And they're asking even more questions just to make sure that they are doing their due diligence to bring that solution in the client environment, which I think is great. I've seen a lot of laws and regulation out there, but the laws and regulation are targeting the end product, meaning like the finished website or the finished application or the finished PDF document, but they're not oftentimes targeting, for example, the platform itself, which is in my book the biggest problem. I can try to make sure to review and fix a lot of things on the website. And I'm pretty sure that's the same happening for some of the businesses. You have incredible developers, you have incredible designers, you have incredible people with disabilities coming and giving you feedback, on how to enhance your solution. But oftentimes you are limited because the platform itself carries a lot of failures. So, how can you go about fixing those failures? How can you go about making sure that these platforms are inclusive and accessible? That's the big question. And usually, my recommendation is definitely first reach out to the provider. If in your contract you have lines that allow you to show them the failures and for them to fix the failures, then this is great. If in the contract you do not have that, just give it a try. Okay, just keep on give it a try. You never know, it could be that this company in this time and space are caring now for accessibility, and they might say thank you so much for sharing that with us. We might not put that directly in the deliverable that will come soon, but we are going to work these failures out and give you an update, which will be incredible. I had the same problem when I was working in an incredible organization, the city of Ottawa, where we had so many failures, and the developers were like, we can fix those failures. We can fix this much, like maybe 30% of the failures, but the 70% of the failures are coming from the platform. And my leader was like, oh, well, so there's nothing we can do. We just got to move forward. And I said, wait a minute. What if we reach out to the provider, the platform provider, and ask them to fix those failures that we saw? And my leader was like, I don't think that's how things work, Flora. because I'm always bringing incredible and crazy ideas sometimes. He said, I don't think that will work, Flora. And I said, listen, what is the worst they can say to us? It's no, we cannot do it. So let's give it a try. So we reach out to the platform provider. It was Microsoft. And Microsoft said, we're going to help. So they did put the list of failures. They were really happy to get that feedback. They put the list of failure in their workflow, and they started providing us with an update every month. Oh, this failure and this failures has been resolved. Oh, this failure and this failure has been resolved. And that was mind blowing. I really want more platform providers to, to do such things. And I want to encourage anyone here, if you have been working with a platform and you felt like it's a stopper, it's not inclusive, it's not helping, please don't feel like your voice is a small voice. Reach out, send them something, tell them it's not working. There will be more people to add to that story, and that will probably now wake up the providers into embracing more inclusion and accessibility. I will not give up. That's just my thing. And I know that moving forward, the more we talk about things like that, the more we try, and reach out and make them understand, they will understand. And I won't be surprised if anytime soon there are laws that are really requiring providers to make their solution inclusive and accessible. I'm pretty sure there is out there, but it's not as strong. They usually target the end product, not the platform. Again, hopefully soon. Because I don't think that the user should be having uh, to fix the provider's solution. I don't think that's right. No, I really don't think that's right. And that's literally what I have been doing. And trust me, it's not fun. You have a solution, make your solution inclusive and accessible so that when I use that solution, I do my part. And that's what really we want. So, as I said, three areas of impact whenever a platform is made inclusive and accessible. If it's inclusive and accessible, the first one is the end product. The second one is allowing people who are losing, for example, their sight, or people with disabilities to be able to utilize or use that same platform, that same product. The third one is really oh gosh, this is the part that I like the most. I mean, if the platform is inclusive and accessible, we're gonna have more and more inclusive and accessible product out there. According to WebAIM, they did a survey not too long, like I think a few years back, where they've noticed that 98% of website landing page, meaning the home page that you see, are totally failing for inclusion and accessibility. This is mind blowing. That's the first page that most people see, and 98% of them are failing to make accessibility compliance. The other numbers that I have as a statistics come from Accenture. Accenture said that when businesses and websites are embracing inclusion and accessibility, there is 28% increase in their revenue, which is mind blowing. I mean, there is more than 1.3 billion with a disability in the world globally. People with disabilities, along with families and friends, have a disposable income of more than $13 trillion. That's a big, juicy market out there. I mean, hopefully this session gives you a lot more to think about in terms of let's call out some of those, web platform and tell them that they need to enhance their platform to be more inclusive and accessible. So please, please, please feel free to reach out to them, let them know, and hopefully very soon we will see more inclusive and accessible web platform. All right, if you have any question today, let me know in the comment, but that's it for me. I see Rob said, oh my goodness. He said no at some point. He didn't know that there are people who are blind who are creating websites. Yes, Ralph. Some people with disabilities are literally doing everything that people without disabilities can do. They just have to do it in a different way. So we just want to make sure that everything that is provided to businesses, to entrepreneurs, to creators, to teachers, to students are just inclusive and accessible for all. All right, I wish you a wonderful Friday and I will see you next week. By the way, I will have another a guest speaker, so you don't want to miss that. Bye bye, everyone.